You want a Diet Coke? Have a Diet Coke.
To have a diet soda or not to have a diet soda, that is the question. A division of the World Health Organization has listed the sweetener aspartame, which is found in diet soda and countless other foods, as a possible cause of cancer. But not so fast. A separate group of health experts has issued a different opinion, saying the sweetener is safe as long as it's consumed in limited quantities. In addition to diet soda, aspartame is also found in sweets, chewing gum, and cough drops, and in tabletop sweeteners like Equal and NutraSweet. Aspartame was authorized by the FDA in 1974 with an acceptable daily intake of 50 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. That means for an average-sized person, they could drink as much as 14 cans of diet soda a day and still be okay. Here to help us sort through this confusing and somewhat contradictory health advice is Dr. Anthony Harris, the founder and medical director of HFit Health. Dr. Harris, how can it possibly be okay for me to drink 14 cans of diet soda?
Nick, thanks for having me. And Nick, no, I would not recommend to anyone to drink. Actually, the study showed 9 to 14 cans of soda is the equivalent you would need to consume to begin to experience some of the health, deleterious effects from aspartame. Right? Aspartame was approved by the FDA back in the 1970s. It's used in over 6,000 products, as you suggested, and it's something that we know also, get this, have some benefits. Right? We know that individuals who would typically consume sugary drinks, sodas, have other risks that aspartame helps prevent because it is not contributing to diabetics and whatnot.
Okay, now the WHO's cancer agency says aspartame might cause cancer, while another expert panel said there's no evidence that aspartame is dangerous. Which group do you agree with? What does your research tell you?
Sure. So, Nick, the devil is in the details, right? So if we look at the agency for WHO, IARC, right, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, their specific language around aspartame in this case is possibly, right? Possibly means it falls into a class called 2B, meaning that it's just kind of a sound out to the researchers that we need more evidence around aspartame and its health effects, particularly around cancer. If we are all, kind of getting concerned as we should, always pay attention to what we eat, let's talk about other things that are in categories that are a little bit higher than aspartame. Red meats, which is probable cancer-causing, class 2A by IARC, right? So this is not an alarm to make everyone stop drinking diet sodas, but at the same time, let's be mindful about what we consume and how much, to your point earlier.
What do you tell your family members? And when people come to you, they're, Dr. Harris, what should I, or hey, what should I be doing here? What amounts of aspartame do you believe is safe to consume?
Sure. So this hits home, right? My wife is going to kill me for saying this, but she loves her Dr. Pepper, her Diet Dr. Pepper. And so I've always said to her, look, just be cautious as to how much you're consuming, right? And again, let's go by the evidence, right? If you're not consuming in the amounts of 9 or 14 cans of, servings of diet soda, then you're okay. Now, granted, diet soda is 75% of the sales of aspartame. There are other substances, other foods that contain aspartame. So we have to be mindful, again, what we consume and these other foods that may have aspartame as well, because that does add up.
Dr. Harris, less than 30 seconds, I'm being told to wrap, but I have some friends who believe that if they drink ginger ale or light-colored soda, that's better than a dark-colored soda. Is that a myth?
That's a myth. Yeah. It doesn't, to quote Michael Jackson, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, right? In terms of the sodas itself, just what's in the soda is what matters. And again, consuming 9 sodas of sugary drinks, more harmful than the aspartame that we know has some benefits. Again, going back to the diabetic proposition earlier.
Dr. Harris, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
You bet. My pleasure. Thank you, Nick.
Absolutely.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.